Nice little outfit rocking today. Laundry day. Finally doing laundry for the first time since I moved to Finland. Yeah, don't ask how many days some of those underwear got worn or how many days I just wasn't wearing underwear. Both answer you don't want to know.
Living for a living, baby. How you doing?
As you can see on YouTube right now, I got a little mic stand, little Christmas gift to myself. Merry Christmas. And that's what this episode's all about. Today, right now, is Christmas, the 25th. But out here in Finland, they celebrated on the 24th. And so I had a wonderful, wonderful day yesterday. I'm going to get into that, talk about just my ideas of Christmas and things in the past and what I normally do back home and just see where that goes and let it flow, man. Talk about, this is kind of video number 2 of podcast number 2 in Finland. I still haven't posted the kind of first impressions after week 1 or whatever, but I think I'll just kind of post these back to back because I need to get updated, or I might even post the first impressions after. I don't know. It doesn't really matter to you as long as you listen. That's what's important. But yeah, let's get into it. I think we got to do a little different intro than normal, right? You know, instead of yo, 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 it's Christmas edition. So we go ho, ho, ho. Welcome to the Living for a Living podcast with your boy, Joey Bradley. Well, my mic levels are loud now that this thing's right up in my grill. I think that's good. Hopefully sounding good on Spotify. You don't have to turn your everything down, but if so, it is what it is. But let's get into it, man. Christmas. Merry, merry. Hope everyone had a wonderful day. I know back in the States, depending on where you are, it can depend on what you can do. And I'm going to try and not get into that at all. Because I think everybody at this point can kind of agree some of these things are madness, and I don't want to talk about it. Let's talk about the good things, which my good things were yesterday out here in Finland, at least everyone that I was talking to, and actually quite a few places in Europe are like this. I think Poland is the same, Germany was, maybe even Czech, where they celebrate kind of the Christmas Day activities that we do in the States. They do it on the 24th. And so yesterday, I went over to my coach's house. He was awesome and invited me to join him and his family. And it was actually really cool because the former quarterback who had played here in Kuopio the last 4 years, who now just lives and works in Helsinki and is kind of like part of that family, you know, through osmosis, came up from Helsinki. And we had one other Canadian guy that's been on the team this last year, maybe the last 2 years, I'm not exactly sure who. So we kind of had this like weird little Lost Boys North American crew amongst the Finnish family atmosphere. And it was just cool, man. Like I couldn't have asked for anything better. And, you know, anytime you do Christmas abroad, it's always a little unknown, a lot of an adventure. You don't really know what you're going to do. I've now had 4 Christmases away from the States, and all 4 of them are like not even comparable to each other because they've just been so different. And I'll talk about that, but let's talk about yesterday. And so we started the day off. I got picked up and we went to the cemetery. It's kind of Finnish tradition on like Independence Day and then also Christmas Day that you go to the cemetery and light a candle on the gravestone of a loved one that's passed and kind of, you know, celebrate or remember, I guess would be a better word, or celebrate, I don't know, yeah. You know, the ones that aren't here with you. And so we did that for some of my coach's family members, and then I got to meet also some of their other part of the family as well. I hope that made sense, and got to meet his mom and sister and brother-in-law and their kids, and um, yeah, it was different. I've never gone to. I don't go to a lot of cemeteries in general, to be honest. Um, but there's kind of something unique and cool in a way about cemeteries, and um, like there were a lot of people there yesterday because I think with some of the travel restrictions or recommendations, I guess, because out here there's nothing is like restricted. For as I said, I'm not going to get political or whatever, trying not to, but for people thinking, oh, Finnish government's like socialist and everything's for free and da 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 da. Well, on the complete opposite end, they stay out of people's personal lives and like don't want any say in that. And so I guess during the first lockdown, they made some emergency rule that kind of changed something, but it was still nothing even comparable to what's going on in the States. But that's besides the point. What I'm saying is that at the cemetery, there was a lot of people and like in kind of, good spirits. It's Christmas. And obviously, it's kind of sad to remember some loved ones like that. But it was just unique. And it had snowed like the entire day before. And it was snowing a little bit while we were there. So it was like the ultimate white Christmas, trees covered. Like it just felt like a movie scene, to be honest. And so we went there and walked around there for a little bit and then came back. And then it's tradition, you come back and for lunch you eat like a rice pudding kind of porridge thing, more rice pudding, which is really weird because with cinnamon and sugar. And it's strange because like my mom loves that rice pudding. And I don't know if she makes it for Christmas or when she makes it exactly, but she likes it. So it like immediately reminded me of her, and that was kind of cool, not getting to see her and spend time with my mom. And then also, on the Finnish side of my own family, my dad is half Finnish, and the 24th is my dad's birthday. And so I got to also say, yo, Dad, happy birthday. I didn't get to talk to you yesterday because I don't think you were at the office and couldn't figure out how to get Facebook on your phone, and we gotta figure that out, dude. But I know we'll talk soon, and I just want to say I miss you and I love you, and wish I could have been there with you to celebrate. I owe a lot to my dad, and I've realized over the last few years or so, a few of my like really good friends, their dads have passed away at one point or another, or I know friends that grew up without dads. And I guess as our parents get older, at least in my mind, like I start to appreciate them more, and knowing that I'm growing up. And I mean, I think like we're all way more affected by our parents, and we're way more similar to our parents than maybe we'd like to admit. Like I realized after recording that last solo episode where I said, yeah, I met the neighbor, and I forget what her name is, but I know what the dog's name is. Like, if that's not my mom to a T, then I don't know what is. And so, yeah, just, grateful for my parents and the way I was brought up and how they made me be the person I am. And then also just grateful for the people that have came into my life. And at this point now, traveling around the last 5 years, moving from place to place, kind of starting to develop like a international worldly family. And it gets a little emotional actually when I talk about it. And I'm super grateful for all of those people. I don't want to go through and name names specifically because I'll forget somebody, and I don't want to forget somebody. And you know if you know. And so for you, over these last 5 years, whoever you may be, you know who you are. I'm super grateful for you. It's been really cool, you know. I guess, yeah, because normally for Christmas Eve and Christmas are my favorite holidays, like without a doubt. Oh, hold on, I'm getting a phone call. Let me silence it. Sorry, Pekka. I gotta finish this podcast and then I'll come over, brother. Um, but Christmas Eve is my favorite holiday, like I said, and mainly Christmas Eve because we get my mom's side of the family over to our house and maybe like 20, 25 of us. And it's that side of the family is pretty damn fun. And lots of laughs, a lot of goofing around, a lot of making fun of each other, a little to a lot of drinking depending on the years. You know, we do a white elephant gift exchange where, you know, everyone brings a present and you unwrap it and then next person can steal it or unwrap a new present, and I think the third person who ends up with it gets to keep it. And so like there always ends up being like a little family strategy that goes on, and throughout the years I've always been kind of the asshole that brings like a joke gift with like in mind that I want my cousin Ryan to get it, just because like, I mean, Ryan, I fucking love Ryan, but it's like I like fucking with him too. And so there was one year, I mean, shit, this is probably like 12 years ago now, that I got a fake WWE wrestling belt, and it was just, you know, I buy these things solely with him in mind, and somehow he picked last and it was the last present, and so he wound up with it, and it's made its way back a couple times. You know, there's been like 3 or 4 kind of gag gifts like that have now made their way back, whether it be like a shower radio or I think like one year banks were giving out like little portable TVs when you opened an account. And so like one year there were like 2 or 3 TVs at the thing, which just shows my family is cheap as shit. Not really, but kind of. But then there was like one year where of like the 2025 presents, almost all of them were like some bottle of alcohol or some form of alcohol, like a designer set, you know, with a glass or whatever. And that one, I think I was like 21, 22 maybe. So that's like newly into the drinking scene, can go hard with the family for the first time. And yeah, that one I don't really remember too many details of, to be honest. But it was one of the most fun ones from what I remember. And, you know, we always end the night by cousins got to take a little walk around the block, if you know what I'm saying. I think most families that partake in the walk around the block know exactly what I'm talking about. Just, you know, admiring the trees of Christmas and the atmosphere that they give off. And yeah, so I really miss being back in the States, although that side of the family is all kind of splitting up at this point. Not like because they're mad at each other, or shit, some of them probably are mad at each other. I think that side of the family can hold some grudges. And but people are just going to different spots, having different families growing up, you know, moving. I got one cousin now who's living in Ireland with his girl. So it hasn't really happened in the magnitude of how it was when I was growing up in at least a few years. So while I still miss being home and seeing my mom and my Aunt Nanny and my pops, it's not the same anymore. And so that, like, in a way, I guess, makes it feel like I'm not missing out on something in one regard. But boy, Christmas Eve and then Christmas Day was just always growing up. The main thing was open the presents in the morning, you know, try and corral my parents. I can remember being young and being like, all right, yo, let's open some presents. Always kind of starting with the stocking stuffers before they even get down there. Open the presents. have a little breakfast. We normally do, what would we do? Cinnamon rolls, hard-boiled eggs, maybe some bacon or sausage or both. Yeah, I think that was kind of the go-to meal. And then once breakfast hit, I normally got a video game, in these times when I was younger. And that's what I was doing for the rest of the day, playing video games. I think my mom would end up going to like my grandma's or my other aunts or something, and she'd be like, "You want to come?" Because they had like another kind of family dinner get together, but it was with the people we'd just seen the night before, and I had a new video game to play. So I was like, "No, I'm good." And my dad was good in his chair; he was chilling. So that was the typical Saturday, or not Saturday, Christmas Day. Always felt like a Saturday. But no, out here they do it a little differently. And so we got back from the cemetery, and about one had the rice porridge, rice pudding, and then they had hired the families in the neighborhood had hired like a Santa to come in with an elf, a singing elf lady, and Santa had his bag with all the toys, and it's all in Finnish, and so I can't really understand it, but Seth, the former quarterback who was with me, like his Finnish is pretty good at this point, so he's kind of translating for me. And man, it was just cool to see all the kids stoked on Santa. And I mean, that situation of bringing them in is like makes it way more real for them than just like the morning of, that he came down the chimney and you give him like there's some like real like, okay, that's Santa. And that was just so cool to see. And just watching like the kids, as soon as they get their present, they kind of like had to sing one other song with Santa, and you can just like feel the kids being like, okay, let's go open these presents. And that was actually super funny. But it was the funniest part was like as we got back into the house, like the neighborhood over right next to them had done also hired another Santa. But this one, he was the phony one. That's the fake one. But just seeing some of the kids as they were walking home, seeing like one Santa had left off one street and there was another one coming down, and my coach's son was like, "Dad, that's the fake Santa." We're like, "Yep, that's the fake one. All right, let's go inside." But it just felt like we were in like alternate universes almost. It was that was funny. And so then we go in, and then they unwrap the presents. All the presents then. So it's like 2:00 probably on Christmas Eve day. And again, just seeing the excitement, man, of kids. I haven't really been around kids during Christmas in a long ever, since I was a kid, but I couldn't look at myself the way I can see myself now. So it was just really fun to be a part of that kind of thing. And it kind of gives you a little extra joy and, makes you appreciate some things a little bit more. And yeah, so then, did that thing, started getting dinner ready. I mean, I didn't get dinner ready. Yenny got it ready, my coach's wife, and it was delicious. Had some salmon, some ham, potatoes, like this carrot rice casserole kind of thing that was fire, some like sweet potato casserole, some little cut up beets with some kind of little sauce on top. It was nice. And we ate good, and they were joking and saying like a lot of the traditional Finnish foods they don't really like, so they just kind of picked and chose all the ones that were good, since we had this, it was like the weird foreigner Christmas for them, but weird in a good way is how my guy Pekka said it. which I agree. I think weird in a good way is probably the best way it can be, no matter what it is. So we ate a lot, started drinking a little bit, started helping do getting the video games going. They got a Just Dance video game for Nintendo Switch. They got, some Legos. I think there was an Apple Watch. So setting all those things up, just seeing the excitement, man, was so cool, so fun. Drinking some wine. I was in charge of getting the alcohol, and I don't know what I'm doing when I'm buying wine. I'm looking at the price tag first, and then I'm just looking at the name of it with whatever pictures on it. And so I wanted to get one from Portugal because, got the friendly fam in Portugal, and they got some fire wine. So the one from Portugal had like a dog on it and was called Lab. I got one. I thought it was a white wine called Green Cosmos. It was all green bottle and all that stuff with the, I don't know. It wasn't. It was red wine. And then, what was it? Oh, the third one was from Spain called Chill Out. And I felt like that was right up my alley. So got those. We started getting after it a little bit there, having some fun. Ended up taking a walk, which was probably like a 2-mile round trip walk back to the cemetery. Because at night, during the day, everybody lights a candle and puts it on the gravestone. And then there's also this one, community gravestone for people that aren't buried in that cemetery that you can put a candle there for, whoever. And so we wanted to go back at night because, just all the candles lit up in the snow in the cemetery was like a cool vibe, man. I'll maybe link some pictures or post some pictures as I'm talking right here so the people on YouTube can see it. And it was cool, super cool. And I kind of, for the first time, like I mentioned before, my grandma was 100% Finnish. She wasn't born here, but her sister was. She was born in the States right after her family immigrated. And I mean, she died when I was young, probably 10. I don't even know. It's been so long. And so, I mean, I haven't really thought too much about her, to be completely honest, not to say that in a bad way. But I just hadn't really thought about it. And it was that time last night in front of the little communal candle spot. Just kind of closed my eyes and said a little, I don't know if it's a prayer or just tried to kind of tap in and talk to her or whatever, and just kind of say thanks, because ultimately, this is for everybody, but ultimately if she wouldn't have done the shit she did and had my dad and the butterfly effect, the chain of events, I don't get here. And it's been cool to me to get back to Finland just because while I, don't know too much about her, it's at the end of the day, that's still part of me. And I definitely, I feel some little kind of connection. I can't explain it yet in words with Finland, and Finnish people are cool as fuck to me. So, I mean, I'm going to the grocery stores here, going anywhere where there's a cashier, they're so nice and so friendly. And coming from Czech Republic, where again, not all of them, not everybody, but Czech Republic, and same thing here in Finland, not everybody's nice and friendly, but a majority are, to the point where I'm almost creeped out, because in Czech Republic it was the complete opposite, where when you had a friendly person at the checkout stand that would smile at you, it was oh, whoa, what's going on? And here it's almost everybody. And so it's just tripped me out, man. And it's weird how those small little interactions can really change your day, like for better or for worse. In Czech, man, I was starting to get negative because through lockdown times, I was only around, majority of the people I was around were the people at the grocery store, and where the grocery store I went to, it felt very robotic in there and very drone-ish. And man, like that affected me and on the complete flip side out here, they say goodbye, and if sometimes they say something, I try and my Finnish is bad, and so sometimes they say some stuff and I go, I'm sorry, I don't speak Finnish, and they just hop right into English and like stoked about it and helpful and have a nice day and see you later and smiling, and like the little 5-10 minute walk home from the grocery store to my crib, like it's on my mind, like I'm thinking about it. Like, damn, they were so nice, and like that, I appreciate that, and it just boosts my vibe, and it in turn then boosts whoever I come in contact with's next vibe, and it's just this like reciprocating thing. And I've always tried to be nice to other people because I know, one, it makes them feel good, but actually more importantly, like it really makes me feel good, and that's the most important shit. I've said it before, like being selfish, not in like a greedy way, but just in your own world, like you got to get yourself right first is what's most important. And I think, one of the many issues going on right now is everyone's looking outside for answers, whether it be political, social, environment, whatever. They're looking outside for answers. And it's like, motherfucker, the famous quote, you want to change the world, you got to change yourself first and foremost. And like be the change you want to see in the world. Not to get cliche on us, but a lot of cliche things are cliche for a reason, because they get said a lot because they're fucking true. And so, yeah, it's just, I don't know. I hope on this Christmas Day, if you take anything from what I'm saying, and if you don't, that's cool too, but I hope you take like just like being nice to other people, because ultimately it's just going to make you feel better. And like having good interactions is crucial to life, to society, to health, to whatever. And I was tripping out because I realized, like Finland, the people here kind of get like categorized as like not cold, but I think there's a really high suicide rate up here. And so like in one way that would make you think people aren't happy. But then Finland is also like, I don't know how the metrics are done, but one of the more happier countries in the world, because also like society runs pretty well. I think governmentally, I think that's a word. They got their shit together more than other places. Obviously, there's still some negatives, which I'm excited to learn about at some point. And I mean, the one negative I can tell you right now is I just opened up a bank account here like last week, and it's going to take me like 6 weeks to get my card so I can even put money in the account. And the amount of questions that they were asking me to open up a bank account to give them money, I tripped out and I thought, what? Who's giving who money in this? Are they going to give me money? Like the amount of questions I'm being asked, it's like I'm being interrogated by the FBI. It took an hour to open up a bank account. In the States, it's the opposite. They'll take your money. You don't need an account. You want some? Give us your money. And so out here it was completely different. So that's a negative. I'm like, I don't know if the Finnish banks understand how banking works, but you want my money. You want to be able to get that. And if it takes 6 to 8 weeks to get my card, you're losing some money, my G. So, like I said, there's some good and bad shit, but that was one thing I just didn't get. I couldn't fathom that one. I've been drinking these like natural energy drinks. This is not a advertisement at all because I don't even know how to say the brand. But these things are pretty good. It's like not much sugar in them. Who knows if there's any caffeine in them. But yeah, that's what I'm drinking on today. I normally always talk about what I'm drinking, so figure I'd talk there too. What else we got? What else do we got? Did I finish Christmas? I mean, not really. Kinda. Oh yeah, no, I didn't finish Christmas. So we, ate dinner, did the Legos, did the dance, had some wine, had some beer, had a little cognac, went for the walk back to the cemetery. That was dope. Came back, and then we played a little Skip-Bo, which is kind of like, I don't know what it's like. It's kind of like Uno, but Seth would argue it's not Uno at all. Not enough interactions. That was kind of the joke from last night. Although there are interactions in the game, but I get what he's saying. Kind of like I don't know how to compare it, what to compare it to, but it's fun. And so we played that 3-4 games. Didn't win any of those games, unfortunately. And then I have to the Finnish people, Finnish followers. I don't know how many there are. All 2 of you right now. You will be happy to know I took my first sauna here Christmas Eve. Got in there, and I will admit, I think I could see myself starting to like it. My main issue in there is it's just hard for me to breathe. I haven't figured out the air intake and how exactly to do that. Like, it just, I don't know. Something, you can't take deep breaths, and I kind of just like get in my own head about it. So I'm sure I can learn and figure it out. But I took the first sauna, which like is, hold on, get this mic. There we go. It's like part of religion almost out here. It's not, but people love it. And I'll say I might be able to get on board with it. Might be able to get on board. It's kind of weird in a way. I mean, for the American mindset is like everyone gets in there completely naked. And so, normally they're male or female or whatever. But so I'm in there completely naked with 2 guys I just met that day and my coach. But it's just normal. And the other American guy was saying, in his business, they'll do some kind of like business get-togethers, and like saunas are a big fucking deal here. And, he said he'll be with like the CEO, CFO of the company, just naked as fuck in the sauna with them. And it's just not even a thing in his mind because he's been living here like 4 years now. And I was like, yeah, bro, that shit's a little crazy to me. And it's weird when I think about it because the U.S., we hypersexualize everything, with the amount of OnlyFans accounts that are going on and the way TikTok and social media is and all that. Like, everything's about tits and ass almost, yet it's all virtual. And when it comes to actual nudity in person, whether it be breastfeeding or whether it be a sauna or like being naked somewhere, it's like the biggest taboo. And that's something mentally that we're not going to get into it. I don't know enough to even get into it, but there's something there psychologically that's like a weird thing that, like, it's kind of like when you say something isn't allowed and it's so taboo, it like makes people want to do it more. And so that's, I think, a result of what we're seeing with some of the OnlyFans stuff. Although, I mean, that's also just part of the time technology. And I'm not hating on OnlyFans at all. Let's get that out of the way. If I was a hot girl in today's society, I'd probably have an OnlyFans. You telling me? I mean, if I could just get paid to take pictures of my dick right now, I'd have an OnlyFans. I mean, that's easy money, my G. What the fuck? You know? So I'm not hating on it, but I'm just like kind of connecting the dots that all this, like, no, it's taboo to be naked and it's taboo to do this in person. But then it's like online, that's not the only thing, but the thing that sells the best. You know, sex sells. And I don't know. I think there's going to be long-term negative effects with that. And I don't know what they are. I'm just spitballing, freeballing, literally some ideas right now. And, you know, yeah. But so that was pretty much the Christmas for me. We ended up drinking a little bit more, then we started watching YouTube videos, and oh my God, I have a new favorite song, a new favorite artist. I've got to put it out into the universe right now. I want to get this dude on the podcast at some point because this dude seems like the coolest motherfucker ever. Stig. My Finnish people know him. He's a, like, I don't know what to call him. Like, he's a music artist here in Finland. Kind of like a Weird Al Yankovic in a way. He used to go by Stig Dog, like Snoop Dogg. And he's like, I mean, he's awesome. He rocks a mustache, long hair, glasses. He can do all kinds of genres from like country to rap to like kind of pop. Like this song that I like is like a more like techno-y song. And I don't know how it came up, but we were watching YouTube videos, and Pekka is my coach for, I'd rather just start saying his name in conversation than my coach. And, you know, he was showing us there's this Finnish TV show. I don't know if it's still going on, but used to go on where like they get 7 or 8 of some of the top music artists in the country together. And each week is like one of the artists' week, and the other 7 artists will do a remix of one of their songs and can kind of change it up, but like have to kind of keep the title and the chorus the same. And so I don't even know what like this song that I love is like a remix kind of some other lady's song that I think was like singing it like super beautifully, and like he has it all like auto-tuned out, and I can't believe I like the song, to be honest, but I think I mainly like it for the dance, which is going to be the touchdown celebration. But this show would be, I mean, it seems really cool, like to think about if the US could do their own version of it and have, you know, a person from every genre, have like a Snoop Dogg, have Mariah Carey, I don't know, Billie Eilish, Kelly Clarkson, throw Modest Mouse in there. I don't know if anyone knows who Modest Mouse actually is, but you should. Maybe like, I don't know, I can't even think who are like punk bands and stuff now. I want to say like Sum 41 and Blink 182. But like, if you could get this little mixture of all those people, and then each week, you know, one week would be a Snoop Dogg week, and so everyone would have to do a Snoop Dogg song, but in their own way. Dude, it seems, I can't understand what's going on the TV show, but it seems really cool. And that's a thing I've noticed, you know, first month impression of Finnish people is like, they're just good people, straightforward, honest, like don't take themselves too seriously, you know, can laugh at themselves. And this show like appeared to me to really exemplify it. And all of those things that I'm like complimenting Finnish people on are like characteristics I would like to improve in myself. And so I'm happy for that, because it's like, ultimately we're a sum of the people we spend the most time with. And with my life of moving around constantly, like I'm never really spending time with the same group of people all the time, which is good and bad, because when I'm around a good group, it doesn't last for long, which isn't great. But then it's also good, because if I'm around a bad group of people, then it doesn't last for long either. And so I think that's partially why like my individuality has kind of like continued to grow throughout these last 5 years, because I don't really have a circle, to be honest. And I don't mean that in like a depressing way at all. At times it would be nice. And I have, a few people I stay in contact with throughout the years. But in person, I never really have much of a circle. But that's what was so cool about Christmas and being here so far, is like hanging out with Pekka and his family has just been, I got a little circle, and that's dope. That's super dope, and I'm grateful for that. What else? Still haven't really found too many food spots that I can call my spot out here. There's a place called Prisma, which is like a Walmart and Target had a baby in a way. Kind of like a Walmart-sized Target in terms of like good quality, but also big as fuck and having everything. But they have a sushi, like self-serve, not buffet, but like self-serve thing in the food area. And the salmon is fire. And I mean, they have some good little rolls, and they're pretty fresh. And for the price, I don't think you can beat it. I get a little tray of 8 salmon nigiri and a couple rolls and a couple little other things for like €7. And out here, that's cheap. I mean, that's cheap anywhere, but out here, really cheap. And so that's probably like my favorite go-to spot. I went to a restaurant and got some food a couple days ago, and it was good food. But the practical mind of myself is like, man, if I spend €20 on a meal, I could eat at home for a week on that, And also with that though, I got to get out of that like scarcity mindset, through doing what I'm doing and having to save money, and also kind of budget, just for the fact that paychecks aren't huge for playing American football in Europe. But there's a way to think about it, not from like a scarcity mindset of like, oh, I can't spend any money because I don't have it, which has been like my mindset for a long time. And partially it's true, but also that mindset then just continues to breed more scarcity and continues to put you in that box of feeling like you don't have enough. And so I'm really trying to get out of that mindset. Like, for example, just to be straight up, like when I asked if I could get anything for Christmas yesterday, and they said, yeah, alcohol and this, I'm thinking this and that. Like my first mindset was like, oh shit, I don't know if I can afford all that. I was like, dude, like in terms of cash, like this is probably the most money I've ever had in my last 5 years in Europe from football. And so I'm like, dude, what are you talking about? You got it. And like, be happy about spending it. You know what I mean? Like, don't fucking trip on it. And right now I'm completely talking to myself. I know I'm always talking to myself here. There's no one else in this fucking apartment right now. But this is just a reminder to myself when I go through it. It's like, you got it. And be happy about getting it and being able to get it and being in a place where €50 for some wine and beers and whatever, like, ain't nothing. I mean, it's obviously it's still a little something, But I, I want to do that. I want to share that. And it's funny because I caught myself in that mindset whenever I was asked to do that. And I was like, no, fuck, get out of that. Get out of that thought. Get out of that train of thought. And within like the next couple days, randomly get a message on Twitter about this guy who's coaching football in New York. And he's like, hey, do you think maybe I'd like to put like a playbook together, and whenever football starts back up here, and if I do that, could you maybe, he's like, I've coached defense my whole life, but I'm going to have to be helping out on offense this year. And could you throw something together for me and give me some tips, and I can, hire you or pay you to do it? And I was just like, yeah, I already got the playbook made, player. I would love to do that. And so it's just like, I've had another time in when I was in Florida, when I was in Orlando, training and working out there. Like, I wasn't getting paid, but I was getting to train for free and live rent free, but still having to, cover all my living expenses. And I was tripping in the beginning because I knew I only had X amount of money. I had just gotten back from like 2 months in Asia, so I didn't have much money to begin with. And we're going to Chipotle and eating out for dinner every night, so it's like $20-$30 down the drain every day. And I'm starting to trip because I'm like, I don't know if I can sustain this for however long. So I'm making videos and making a little bit of money with some of the combine guys, making like workout training videos for them. But like really constantly thinking about it, checking my bank account at night every night, tripping on it. And then me and Bert got in a big argument one day because like I had like really gotten to the tipping point of like the pressure on myself, and then combined with like feeling unappreciated by him, to be honest, that I like snapped, and we went back and forth yelling at each other. Well, I was more yelling. We were both kind of yelling, but it needed to happen. And just for the record, Bert and I talk on the phone like once a week now. Like, he's probably one of my best friends. And it really didn't, our friendship really didn't start until we fought, which is a cool thing in a way. Sometimes you gotta do that and just be straight up with somebody. And it might ruin a friendship, or it might ruin a relationship, a fake relationship, but the real relationships, that shit'll strengthen, being straight the fuck up with people. That's what I've learned, at least. And but anyway, I was tripping over money while I was in Florida that time, and then I finally was like, dude, what are you tripping for? Like, you're going to be all right. You got a credit card. Like, you could ask your mom for some money if you needed it. Like, I really don't ever want to do that, but I'm very fortunate in the sense that I always could do that growing up. But like, since I've graduated, or even through college, really, like with scholarships, I paid for all my shit besides junior college. But my parents still have helped me out so fucking much along the way. I don't want to be like, yeah, I'm all on my own. I have no help. I made it here single-handedly, all by myself, no blanket. What's that, a Cat Williams skit or something? And so I knew, I was like, dude, stop tripping. Like, if something comes up, like, if you need to, like, my mom would be happy to lend me some money. And I was like, you're getting to work out, train, meet, all these NFL dudes, be around these guys, learn some stuff from the training side, throwing an NFL ball with like NFL receivers 3 times a week. Like, what, you're tripping over like $300, and this entire experience is so much more valuable than fucking $300 in the long run. And I was like, just enjoy it. Like, stop fucking tripping. It's good. It's going to work out. And man, as soon as I got into that mindset, like the next week, like the head trainer guy normally worked out like high school kids in the afternoon. But since he had the combine guys there, he wanted to spend all his time with the combine guys. And so he said, "Hey, Joey, could you, work these couple kids out in the afternoon, and I'll just give you the money from that." And I was like, "Yeah, sure." And just so happened that one day, kind of random guy was there, a random kid, high schooler, I should say, who was a quarterback, and they had a couple of receivers. So I took him through quarterback kind of receiver workout, which is like, if I know anything, that's what I know. And his dad was there. And, like I when I'm coaching kids, like I try and be straight the fuck up with them. I might swear a little bit. I'm not trying to be like hard ass, but at the same time, like hold people accountable and, encourage when things need to be encouraged, correct when they need to be corrected, let things slide when they need to be let slid. And the dad comes up to me afterwards, and I kind of was like tripping because I didn't realize that he was there watching until the very end. And like I said, like I'll let a motherfucker rip. I just mean the word, like, oh yeah, fuck yeah, or a fuck yeah, like I'll let my language go sometimes. And I know some parents will trip out over that with the high school age or whatever. And so I'm thinking this dad might come up to me and say something about the language. And we're also at like ESPN Disney. And so like we're at, a nice place, nice area in Florida. And he comes up to me. I said, "Hey man, I sorry if, my language is a little over the top at times." And it wasn't anything crazy, but he's like, "I don't give a fuck." He's like, "Dude, that's one of the best QB workouts he's ever had." Pointing to his kid. He's like, "Where are you from? Where have you been? Who are you?" It's like, I gave him my story, explained everything. And he's like, "Well, I know like 2-3 other quarterbacks that are looking for a coach. Do you want to, start coaching them?" I'm like, "Yeah, for sure." And so within like that next week, I had 3 QBs that I was working out and getting a couple receivers and other athletes on other times, and started to end up make like 200, 300 a week. Yeah, I think I ended up making some money on this trip where that I was tripping out. I was going to only be losing it. And literally next day of getting my mind right and thinking, getting out of that scarcity mindset that I was in, that I know we can all get into, especially right now. If someone lost their job, you don't know. There's so much unsuredness in the world right now. And so I know it's a lot easier said than done. But if you can try, man, I can only speak from my experience. It's helped me so fucking much. And yeah. What I don't know how I even got to that point. We just flowing, baby. Flowing and going. But I guess to wrap the Christmas episode out, I wanted to talk about I talk about what I normally did on Christmas, like growing up when I'm at home back in Issaquah. But the last 4, well, not the last 4 consecutively, but 4 out of the last 5 Christmases, I haven't been home. And so the first Christmas abroad for me was my first year in Portugal. So that was 2015. And I was actually in Amsterdam alone. My buddy Colin and my homie, who was the import, if you watch more than this episode, you've heard me talk about him. He ended up getting there like the 26th or 27th, although we didn't even plan on doing that. We'd only known each other like a month at this time. We weren't even like really friends. I mean, we were, but not like at all what we are now. But he was meeting another friend there. It just so happened flights from Lisbon to Amsterdam were fucking stupid cheap that winter, like $10 or something. And so I had a night with him, I think, in Amsterdam, but that was like the 26th or 27th. And then my homie Big E, who was my roommate in junior college at DVC, came from Hawaii because like he had to use his mom works for United or something, and he could do like the buddy pass thing, but it was either only until the end of the year or there was some stipulation with either his age or the time. I guess it doesn't really matter. But he he had Christmas in Hawaii and then either left the night of the 25th or the morning of the 26th and flew like 30 hours to Amsterdam and met me there. And so we had a couple days in Amsterdam together, which was super fun, which I guess I got some good stories for, but I'm not going to get into those yet. We got to, we'll do a story time European edition some other time. And I don't want to put Big E on blast like that, my guy. Colin, you know the story I'm going to tell or would tell. But that Christmas I was just alone in Amsterdam, and I just got high as fuck in the coffee shops. So instead of a white Christmas, it was a green Christmas that year, and that was fun. That was cool, but that was different. And then the next year after that, I was in Portugal again, and by this time, Colin and I were like homies because now we'd known each other for over a year, and we booked a trip. It was like another super stupid cheap flight from like Lisbon to Berlin, like $8. And then we were going to meet his sister and our Portuguese homie in Prague on either the 24th or the 25th. I think the 25th. And so, but in Germany, the 24th is kind of more, kind of Christmas Day, like I explained here in Finland, I think. And so there wasn't really too many people there. And Colin and I ended up like becoming homies with the guy that worked at the hostel, Freddie. And Freddie like self-proclaimed like he never would hang out with people that like just visited the hostel. Like he wouldn't hang out with tourists, but he made the exception for us. And I remember we were like, yo, bro, what are you doing later? And Freddie was German, but lived like 4 or 5 hours from, was from 4 or 5 hours away from Berlin and like had to work the next day. So he couldn't go home for Christmas. So he was like, shit, I'm just chilling here. And, you know, we were like, well, let's go get a beer at some point or whatever. He's like, well, Freddie was like, I'm going to go do some blow in the bathroom in like 10 minutes if you want to join. And I don't really consume with that stuff, but how do I say it? Some of the rest of the group did. So we did that. Then we ended up going to like kind of local only bar, learning how to play kicker, which is like foosball, but in Germany they call it kicker and they take it way more serious than we take foosball. And there's rules and strategies and a way to spin it and all these things. And so we learned that. And then the next day, which was technically Christmas, Colin and I took the train from Berlin to Prague, which was rad. And then we were in Prague for the night, I think alone. And then the next day, his sister and our Portuguese homie got there and met up with us. And then this last Christmas, while I was technically living in Barcelona, I realized, you know, I'd never spent a Christmas in Lisbon while I lived in Lisbon for 2 years because of those two things I just explained. And Lisbon to me is home. If I had to say where one place was in the world, I would call Lisbon home. At least that's where I feel most at home. Although Kuopio's, I think, slowly creeping on that, to be honest. But I was like, shit, I want to do a Christmas in Portugal, Christmas in Lisbon, see some of the homies. By this time now, it'd been 2-3 years. I'd already gone to Nepal with Sanjuk. And so Sanjuk is like my brother now. And he was going to kind of be spending Christmas, you know, away from his family. Although Nepalese, like, because of religious differences, don't like truly celebrate Christmas the same way we do. But they still like, I still got tons of message from Nepalese people saying Merry Christmas and all that stuff. And so, yeah, I spent last Christmas in Lisbon with Sanjuk and a couple of his Nepalese friends. And we had some beers and ate some good Nepalese food on a balcony overlooking Alameda, which is like one of my favorite spots in Portugal. in Lisbon at least. So those have been the 3 different Christmases that I'd had over my time abroad, and then you now add this Finnish-ish Christmas into the mix, and boy, it's cool. Like I said, all of them are so different from each other, and it's ironic because whenever I'm at home, it's the exact same no matter what. So there's just like, man, there's good and bad in everything. There's beauty in the change. There's beauty in the tradition. The thing is, if it's always one way and always the same no matter what, man, it can get a little bit boring, I think. And so, yeah, I think that's where I can leave it tonight. We're at that hour mark. I don't want to get too much more than the hour. I think that's a good time frame, especially for editing, listening back, keeping the weekly schedule going, just to update those who care. I'm trying now to get one solo in weekly and then one guest one in weekly. And I don't have days on when I want to post yet or whatever. I think it'll depend also on my schedule. But once I get this little routine down, we'll get something going, because I know that's, at least for me, when I'm listening to my other podcasts, I know, okay, on Mondays, Theo Vaughn's comes out. Saturdays, Tim Dillon's comes out. And then, those are the 2 main ones I listen to. Just started listening to a new one called Unfilter. I forget who it's with, but it's really good in terms of like current events and political stuff and just things happening in the U.S. regarding the insanity. And this dude does a really good job and a ton of research to clip up different clips from media, and it just shows how backwards everything is there right now. I know I said I wasn't going to get into it, but it was hilarious. There was one tweet from like the senior editor of CNN yesterday saying how like how some people don't realize that most news organizations are basically just printing propaganda. And it's just mind-blowing. I mean, it's literally, this dude is, I mean, the way he's trying to word it is like that us at CNN isn't doing that. But it's like, dude, you're literally just telling on yourself right now, because it's all media that does it. All mainstream media, I should say. And so, yeah, I'll throw that little tweet right there because it's just fucking hilarious that, I mean, the left, the far left in the media and just in politics, they're going to just start eating themselves, I think, because they have to find a controversy. And especially the media, with Trump eventually being gone, Trump was just such an easy target and an easy like stab for them. They didn't have to think of anything new. But to continue to get the numbers that they get with the controversy, because controversy sells better than positivity. Negativity sells way better than positivity. They're going to have to just start creating stuff, and that in turn they're going to start having to go after their own people. Quote unquote, their own people. And it's going to be funny to see, boy. That's for sure. But I don't want to get into it right now. I don't know. I won't solve it. I can maybe shed a little bit of light, but normally with some stuff like that, I want to really come correct. And right now, that's not the vibe of Christmas Day. Maybe got there 2 minutes in towards the end. But other than that, I don't want to get into it. I want to just enjoy this yesterday's memory, having a nice little chill day today. About to head over to Pekka's tomorrow, or as soon as I get done with this. And yeah, I think that's all we got. Sorry if I wasn't looking in the camera much today. I realized I just have it off center as we're finishing this, and I'd kind of been looking over here. Maybe I'll put it over here next time. That'll be better. All right. Well, man, as always, appreciate you tuning in, listening all the way. It's been fun to see. I know the views aren't up there, and that's okay. watch time's up there, and that just means that the people who are watching are consuming it and watching all the way through or close to it. And I would much, much, much rather have low views, high watch time than high views and short watch time, because that means that the whoever you are who's watching this right now is like truly fucking with me and with this whole podcast and movement and everything. And for that, I'd much rather have 10 people that are with it 100% than 100 people who are just kind of on it. So thank you to you. I hope you have a wonderful Christmas, happy holidays, Hanukkah, Kwanzaa, whatever you celebrate. If you don't celebrate, nothing. Actually, I met a Satanist dude this last weekend. I think I found my bar. I got a good little bar spot, little dive bar action. But it's nicer than a dive bar, but they got pool table, darts, projection screen, they play sports, little lounge area. And I didn't meet him there. I met some people there and went over to this dude's house after the bar. This Satanist guy who it's like a weird intro because I know myself, I automatically think a certain way and negative, and whoever's in charge of marketing for Satanism needs to be fired, because I mean, I'm no expert on it yet, but it's the marketing team needs some work, because the actuality behind it to me didn't sound too bad. I really liked this guy that I was having the conversation with, and I might actually try and get him on the pod. So yeah, no matter what you celebrate, whether it don't matter. My thing is just be a good person. Believe in what you want. Be consistent in what you believe in. Don't be scared to say you don't know something. Don't be scared to say I was wrong and change your mind. You feel me? And until next time, man, peace and much love. Merry Christmas, y'all.
Living for a living, baby. How you doing?